Oh, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello. All right, welcome back from lunch. This is cohort 1 for the breakout sessions. We have our moderator, Mr. Norman Edubanfo. Please put your hands together as Norman comes forward. Thank you. And while we are doing that, for those of us seated behind, we'd encourage you to kindly get closer so we can have a feel of the room while we have this panel. We also have here the Director of FinTech and Innovation from the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Oreku Asare. Please put your hands together as Oreku joins us. Also on this panel, we have the Chief Executive Officer of New Change FX in the person of Mr. Paul Lambert. Please put your hands together for Paul as he joins us. Hi, Paul. Lovely shirt you got on. And the Managing Director of Integral Development Corp., Mr. Matthew Avery. Let's hear it from Matthew. Okay. Our topic is digital governance, data, and trust. Mr. Moderator, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, can we have everybody seated so we start the section for today? So without much ado, thank you very much, MC. This section is digital governance, data, and trust. Ladies and gentlemen, an anonymous philosopher once said, the persistence of erroneous belief exacerbates the widespread of anachronistic failure to recognize the basic problems of humanity. Some 2 decades ago, some of us never thought digital financial assets would come to stay in our global financial market environment. And now we see it here with us. Financial markets, digitized trust is no longer a soft attribute. It's a function of how data is governed, protected, and transmitted across institutions and jurisdictions. For financial market participants, trust now determines access to liquidity, capital, and cross-border activity. This section we're going to have today with our 3 panelists, we're going to examine how data governance, cyber resilience, and infrastructure design shape market credibility. It's also going to focus on how weaknesses in these areas affect execution quality, settlement integrity, and investor confidence, and how fragmented standards constrain interoperability and global participation. The discussion also addresses a core regulatory tension. Data flows are global, whilst regulation remains national. This creates trade-off between enabling innovation and maintaining control between open data ecosystem and systemic risk containment. And between data, localization, and global market integration. So bringing together our panelists, the session will identify what is required to build financial systems that are trusted, investable, and capable of operating seamlessly within global markets. So we'll take the first round of open questions because we are behind time. So I hope my panelists, you are ready? Great. So, open question. Given that digital transformation is reshaping financial services at an unprecedented pace from your vantage point as a regulator, institution, or market infrastructure, what single development in digital governance has had the most consequential impact over the past 2 years from your various perspectives? So maybe from a global perspective and also from a local content perspective from Africa or Ghana. So any person to take the step? Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I think after lunch is always a struggle, right? So we'll try as much as possible to make it quite engaging. So I think the most singular thing that has actually moved the needle where data is concerned is really governance, right? And data is really the true currency now. And if you get to a point where the governance framework around data is not very strong, it becomes a problem. So just imagine those of us in the room getting involved in trading, and then for some reason, the data is all over the place. It becomes a challenge. So I think for me, the most important posture for data in general should be strong governance.
Thank you. So I suppose data, in a way, is just like any other conversation. It's about, do I trust you to say something to you? And then when you've got that information, do I trust you with the information? And so there's been a lot of, sort of regulatory development around that. In Europe, we've obviously had DORA, which has been kind of continental-wide regulation around how data is treated, protected, etc. And it's kind of interesting because Norman's point at the beginning saying, you know, markets are global, but regulation is largely national. But of course, in the case of the EU, it was across the whole region. And actually, the UK, which obviously has left the EU, but actually we now, you know, firms in the UK will follow DORA. So the fact that, you know, a regulation isn't necessarily the one that's followed in your jurisdiction doesn't stop you following a higher level of data jurisdiction if you want to then trade with people somewhere else. So I think that's kind of interesting. Anyway, I don't want to say everything without leaving Matthew something to say.
Yeah, I think data is doing a lot of work in these conversations because data can mean a lot of different things. We could be talking about market data. It's an area that when you're heavily into the trading aspect of the markets, the worlds that me and Paul are in, is very important. But it's also reference data, and this is typically the area where regulators are particularly concerned because that's when you start getting into personal identifiable information and the risks that are associated with any kind of breach of trust in those areas. And then you have transaction data and the integrity and the protection of transaction data, which could create systemic problems around reconciliation and other factors around that. So when we talk about data and data governance, we need to really drill down into what aspect of data we're talking about. Then we can really sort of identify what the challenges are with the governance of that particular data. I just want to say, I think what Paul was saying around DORA is probably, to answer your question, one of the most significant things that we've seen over the last year or two in Europe. Because what this has done, what DORA has done, has created a more standardized framework for people to be able to interpret what a regulator is trying, what outcomes they're trying to achieve with regulation. And what it means for technology companies like Integral is that we can then, it reduces the ambiguity that you have when you have a lot of different market participants all interpreting the rules in different ways. Under DORA, as a technology company, we are now treated as part of the financial system. So what we are expected to do for any market participant is very clear, transparent, the type of data and metrics that we need to maintain, the service level that we need to uphold is all very clear and transparent across the whole jurisdiction, even though prior to DORA, a lot of those different independent European countries had their own interpretations and the market participants had their own interpretations. So that level of standardization makes a big difference. But we're in the early days of DORA, so a lot of it's been about compliance and paperwork so far. The proof will come in just how effective it is in people being able to prove those standards are being upheld.
So from the few remarks, we then see that data, is the lifeblood of financial markets. And we can also say that trust is the oxygen of the financial market. Let us get into something more interesting here on cross-border data and interoperability. Just to pick your mind, what are the main barriers to achieving secure and efficient cross-border data flows? What are the main barriers?
I think, yeah, I'm a regulator, but I need to say this. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have with cross-border data flows is us, regulators. Because it's not technology, it's not the participants, it's not the industry, but it's really the regulators. There seems to be a lot of regulatory asymmetry across. We need to get to a point where we are standardizing our frameworks to make sure that if you move from one country to the other, I mean, Europe has done it beautifully, right? So relating it into the African context, we should be able to get to that point where our frameworks around data it's almost the same, so that if we are moving from one country to the other, it's much easier. The days of fraud and other related issues that we have in transactions, if we had one framework that cuts across, it makes it much easier. Because today, if we have an issue because we may have local participants, but we operate in a global environment. So if you hop to the next country and it's almost impossible to be able to understand what the person is, whatever they are involved in, it becomes a challenge. So I think that level of regulatory asymmetry needs to be dealt with to be able to help us move to the next frontier.
So I'm going to be slightly annoying here. I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to answer a different question, which is related to that, which is that actually what has made it easier for data to move across borders, and actually one of the things we find is global cloud technology makes it easier. People all around the world can connect their data into an infrastructure where a lot of the kind of governance issues are taken care of by the providers of that infrastructure. And there are obviously, global protocols that allow data to be easily moved around, like, fixed protocols, for example. So what we find is that if you've got a clear regulatory framework, or at least even if you're dealing with people that don't have their own clear regulatory framework, but if you can at least articulate to them what standards you need them to get to be able to share data with them because you've got a clear regulatory framework where you are, and then if you can then shake hands over kind of global technology in terms of how you transfer that data, then I think it just speeds everything up. And I think it's going to allow, the rest of the world to get up to the levels and the standards. So I think you're going to see, this. I think this is an area where progress can be made really quickly.
I completely agree, and I thank Paul for bringing up the value of cloud-native technology as one of the pioneers in cloud FX trading solutions. Clearly, we've got a lot of experience in that area. I just want to add one point, and I think this is just a useful sort of note. When we see how to address some of these challenges in the interoperability of these systems and the transfer of data, for us at Integral, it's a question of deployment. We have the capability, and the capability exists out there to decouple the layer where the customer interacts with the technology, so that you are able to service that information locally inside the jurisdiction where it needs to be held. But you decouple that from the layer that accesses the market. at speed. And that's really where you get the best of both worlds, because you get the data sovereignty by having the customer-facing layer in the jurisdiction it needs to be. You have access to the cloud technology in the major international data centers in London, New York, Tokyo, Singapore, cross-connected, co-located, ultra-low latency, with access to any market participant around the world. So once you start to decouple those components of the technology, and cloud computing allows you to do this, then you can achieve the scale of accessing international markets, but also protecting the data locally as well.
So I like your point, Matthew and Paul, on the cloud solutions. That helps with that level of interoperability. But, that's like I said that in our part of the world, you have my previous world before I joined the central bank, we're operating in 33 countries, right? And you get to a point where if you get into one country A, they will tell you that your data needs to be on-prem. That's right. How do you deal with that? So that's why I'm saying that it's really from the regulator's perspective to push that agenda to say that, look, this is the framework. Almost everybody can have a hybrid per se, or can have a cloud-based solution with a real-time backup on-prem. So I think those are the conversations that we need to have in our part of the world, where that framework is just one. Country A has the same understanding, so that you, as an industry player, if you are moving from A to B to operate, is much easier because you have a cloud base data point as compared to where you have to do on-prem, move from one country to the other. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any further rebuttal or any follow-up? Okay. Matthew.
You make a really good point, and it's a problem that we've had to address in the rest of the world over the last 10, 15 years. That move from on-prem for security reasons, much of the time, to cloud has been a journey for a lot of companies, and there are still a lot of companies in some of the more developed markets that are still yet to make that change. But I think that the types of regulation that we're talking about now, the types of standards that are now being applied universally across the business are setting a floor in terms of how the comfort level people have around data security, cyber resilience, all of these. And this is what DORA solves for as well, because you have to be able to prove your recovery time. You have to be able to prove your SLA. You have to be able to prove that, at Integral, we have a site reliability engineering team that is dedicated to protecting the security and the availability of the system. You need to be able to prove evidence of that uptime. So once these types of metrics are ingrained in everyone's thinking, they will have much more comfort in cloud computing. And that requirement, because all you're doing is limiting your access to technology that can significantly improve your experience and your business. So everyone needs to get over that hurdle, and we're getting there slowly.
Yeah, sure. So still on you, Matthew, you mentioned cyber resilience and infrastructure risk. I would want to pick a question there. What does effective cyber resilience look like within the systematically important financial market infrastructure?
There are three aspects to it, and you need to be good at all three. First, you need the systems and the processes available to detect the threat. So that's the first layer. The second layer is you need to be able to act fast, and you need systems. Technology can react and detect much faster than a human being can. But then you need the human layer, which is where teams like our site reliability engineering team come in to do the resolution. And the resolution part is key. And again, under a lot of the new regulatory requirements, you have to be able to prove how fast you can recover data, how fast you can recover systems in the impact if you do have some sort of breach. Fortunately, touch wood, 14, 15 years being on the technology side, having spent 15 years on the trading side before, I've yet to see a cyber breach like that, so we haven't had to, but we still have to, we carry out penetration tests on every aspect of our system on a regular basis, constantly testing for threats. So they are the three areas that you need to be strong at. You need to be able to detect fast, you need to be able to act fast, and you need to be able to resolve fast. And you need a really good system in place for all three of those points.
Great. Oreku, would you want to take your take on that?
Yeah, I think it always goes back to the point that I made earlier on about trust.
Yeah.
If there's an attack on any institution, your transactions get captured, gets manipulated. It creates a lot of problems. When we actually thought that we are making a breakthrough where digital currencies are concerned,
Sure.
there's a lot of concern around quantum computing that can impact all the trades that we have in probably stable coins or other digital currencies. So I think if we really need to be able to uphold that level of trust within trading, it's important that we safeguard our platforms from cyber attacks. And as Matthew rightly said, touch wood, nothing major happens because today all systems are connected.
Right.
And if there's an attack on one system, the impact becomes much greater.
Yeah.
And the loss of confidence will get to a point where instead of trading online, we will have to be forced to be writing papers. Probably that's where we'll get back into facts, where communication and interaction will change. In that sense, it's going to impact on the level of efficiency of trading. Because you have a situation, you have to trade, you need to clear and settle. And if you have all these fears that the platforms are not secure, then it becomes a problem for you to be able to deal efficiently.
Okay, great. So in responding to the question, one thing that comes to mind, it's how regulators are able to, trade off regulation with innovation. One question that comes to mind is how should you, as a regulator, balance innovation with control over data security and systematic risk? It's a very important question that I think, Oreku, you have to do justice to.
Yeah, I think throughout the room, there's been a lot of conversation how most regulators are becoming forward-looking.
Yep.
And as you rightly said, if you need to have a trade-off before you can actually come up with innovative solutions. How we are doing it, and I think it's not just the Central Bank of Ghana, globally, regulators are adopting the sandbox approach, where you don't know what you don't know, right? So you accommodate the solution, the partners in a sandbox. Let us learn together. Right from ideation, up to deployment. Even deployment, you sandbox it and try to make sure that in the piloting, you are picking every transaction and following through. Up to the level where you are testing the level of exposures, whether there's a backdoor in terms of cyber attack or anything that can actually harm the solution. Because as a central bank, our word is our bond.
That's right.
If we say that we are happy with this solution, participants should be able to trust it.
That's right.
So we need to get to a point where we put these solutions in the sandbox and then learn together so that at least our frameworks that will come out with end-to-end is foolproof.
Just a follow-up, a quick follow-up. So we see the advent of technology and many individuals in the gig market, trying to speed up sporadically in terms of innovation, within the financial market system, particularly where we find ourselves in Africa. People do say, and I stand to be corrected, that innovation seems to move ahead of regulation. Is that true? And how is the regulator seeing that and balancing these views?
It's a tricky question. And I'm sure my co-panelists will agree with me. There's a different level of sleeping, ideating, and coming up with something, wow, as against something that will have the right impact in the market in terms of stability, in terms of consumer protection. So I think that is where most of the time we miss the point. The fact that you've dreamt of something that is, according to you, innovative, does not mean that we should allow the taps to flow just like that. So you need to be able to juxtapose and then work through different scenarios and check whether, yes, whether it will have financial stability issue, whether it will have a consumer protection issue. That's how come we always want to sandbox. If both of us are not too sure, come in and let's sandbox. And I always say that the fintechs and the likes, we need to start thinking through governance all the way to the bottom. When we have that level of clarity, we'll not get to this point where there's a contention between regulators slowing down innovation.
Okay. Paul, Matthew?
Yeah, I'd have a slightly different perspective, which is that regulation, in any regulation, whether it's a speed camera, on a road, or normally comes about in response to an accident. Regulators, so I started my career at the Bank of England, and I remember right at the beginning they sort of told us that the point of regulation was that you needed to create an environment where the market could flip a coin, and the role of the regulator was to know what to do if the coin landed on its edge. And so I think that if people are just going to sit thinking that regulators are going to provide them with very clear regulation that's then going to allow them to innovate, I would say you're going to just sit around and wait for a long time. It's the wrong way around. I think people are going to innovate, and then regulators are going to watch the innovation and work out if there are some new risks that are being created that needed to be regulated for. I think it's that way around. And just another kind of point I wanted to make about the data. We've talked a lot about data and about technology and about trust. And we've talked a lot about the trust that your data is going to be well cared for, that you're going to have resilience against cybersecurity, etc. But there's another thing that's important in terms of trust. You've got to trust the data. Data, because it's a data point, doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's accurate. It doesn't mean that it's going to allow you to do what you want. So, again, I used to run a hedge fund and build models, and the first term that you would say is, garbage in, garbage out in your model. The fact it's data doesn't mean it gets to what you want. So the things Matthew talked about in terms of, being able to follow all these processes, you can only follow them, you can only automate them, you can only do them efficiently and accurately if you've got accurate data. So you need to have systems and pipes that allow you to connect and that you can trust and that you are resilient in the face of attack from malign forces. But you also have to have faith and trust that the data that you're being given or the data that you're given is an accurate reflection of what you say it is.
Thank you. Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Paul there. It's I agree in as much that innovation is always going to move faster than the regulator can keep up. We've seen this in the digital asset space over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, we are still in many jurisdictions lacking a clear, comprehensive framework for trading or dealing with digital assets. We've been working this benefits companies like Integral. We've innovated in this space. We've been the very first company to deliver the type of standardization in FX that we see as commonplace now, and we're starting to do the same things in digital assets. And it's like the Oscars. I've been musicked out. But yeah, I mean, I think that a balance needs to be found. I think that clearly what you need to do is create a floor of respectability and accountability that, that enables innovation to flourish. But I think we've all got enough experience now to know that what that floor needs to look like. And then I think you just stay out of the way until it becomes clear. That's the only way we're really going to get true innovation that takes us to the next level.
Thank you, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, because of time, we need to draw the curtains to this particular session. In short, I was just, scribbling some few things down. The future of digital governance isn't a technical challenge. It is a human one. Data has become our most valuable societal currency, but it is value in its entirety dependent on trust. When public institutions and private platforms fail to safeguard privacy or misuse data, that trust fractures, stalling innovation and eroding civic cooperation. Thank you very much for your audience. Thank you.
Okay, ACI executive, kindly join them for one. Thank you so much. Let's applaud them. Let's appreciate them. Thank you very much. Great breakout session. We are done at the other cohort as well, so I believe those in the other room would join us here in the main auditorium as we count down to the last panel for this conference, and then we move on to the other activities. Please be reminded that tonight we have the Aci World Congress Gala happening at the Labadi Beach Hotel. Begins at 6 p.m. Let's do well to make it there on time. In spite of the challenges, I believe we'll be able to make it and get the celebration going. Thank you so much. So I'm going to move quickly to introduce our last panel for this World Congress. The last panel is discussing aligning local regulations with the FX Global Code, a balancing act. And to moderate this session, it gives me joy to call upon the ACI Financial Markets Association CEO, Mr. Rui Correa. Please, let's hear it for Rui. Put your hands together. Thank you. Also on this panel, we have the Vice President of ACI Swiss, Mr. Marcel Zimmermann. Let's hear it for Marcel. Up next, we have Head of EFX at Danske Bank, Mr. Thomas Jernes. Let's hear it for Thomas. Put your hands together. This one gives me a lot of joy because I'm introducing my former direct boss. He is the group head of treasury with the Universal Merchants Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my boss, Mr. Emmanuel Saki. Okay. He's such a fun boss to work for. Oh, let's hear it for my boss. Come on, man. Yes. Okay. So, logistically, we'll need one more chair. Let me help sort that out immediately. Oops. Yeah, it means you are getting to the end of the conference.
Should I take over?
Should I take over for you?
So we'll do this together. So our last panelist is Mr. Mark Johnson. Who is he?
Oh, he's well known to ACI.
As a product lead of New Change FX. Please put your hands together for Mark. Okay, over to you.
Can we start? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, ACI Ghana, for such a wonderful conference. It's a shame that it's nearly at the close. Before we go ahead, and I'm delighted to have here an esteemed set of panelists. I just wanted to mention something in case you were not aware. ACI has recently launched a scholarship program with a cycle for this year targeted at our training for our ACI diploma for women in Africa. So I just wanted to, again, inform you about that. It's exclusive for our associations in Africa. It's exclusive for the women in those associations. I just wanted to bring that up to you again and looking forward to receive the applications. All merit to our new head of education, Elena, for bringing that program up, and it's very, very timely that we are here announcing it. So I'll just go now to the panel, and the first question I'll actually ask Marcel. Marcel, we're talking here about the FX Code. We'll cover the alignment with global regulations later, so it'll be important to hear what Emmanuel has to say on that. But can you briefly tell the audience about what is the FX Code, what are the objectives, where we are in the FX Code, since it was May 17, it was launched 19 years ago.
Sure, and good afternoon. So I can briefly explain what the FX Global Code is about. As Rui said, it was first introduced in 2017. Prior to that, there was about 2 years of work by a joint central bank and market participant group, which came together at the Bank for International Settlements to create the code. The aim was to basically integrate the regional local codes that existed into a global code of conduct, principle-based. It has 55 principles in it, with the aim to contribute towards the integrity and the effective functioning of FX markets. It's for the wholesale market participants, and it's not regulation, that is important to say. It's a code of conduct that does not replace or support regulation, and it's a joint venture by market participants and central banks that created that. In terms of updates, as you said, it was introduced in 2017. It was then updated in 2018, 2021, and 2024. So the last version available on the website of the Global FX Committee, which took over the maintenance of the FX Global Code after this BIS working group was done with its job, is available to download there in various languages.
Thank you, Marcel. So we're talking about 9 years to the code. Actually, the anniversary is next week when the official launch was done in London on 25th of May. Mark, can I ask you a little bit on that? So we're talking about 9 years for the code. A lot has been done already in terms of adherence. We're talking about 1,500 statements of commitment published, and a lot of things, because the statement of commitment is not mandatory to be published, there's still several others of them. But there's still some challenges. Can you talk us a little bit about that? What could be the challenges for adherence to the FX Code?
So I think in some sectors there's been reluctance to sign up to it. Probably from a perspective of, if you work in trading or sales and you're the sort of cutting edge, the front line of transacting, if you look through the code, many of the principles, you might think, well, these are common sense, without really digging into all the detail. And my own personal experience of that is that what you assume or you take for granted as being knowledge about how things are done in the industry isn't that clear to the outside world. So by signing up to the code, even though it's not regulation, it's not legally binding, it is an excellent description of how things are done and why they're done in that way. And if you were to attempt to do that as an individual firm, as Marcel said, it's years of work. Thanks to the ACI and the central banks that put it all together with market participants, that work's been done. So I think someone said on an earlier panel about preparing for things before they go wrong. By signing up to the code, I think you protect yourself as an individual and you're protecting your team and your firm.
Perfect. Mark, and I'm sorry, Emmanuel, we have to talk about the elephant in the room because we're talking about 1,500 roughly statements of commitment, and still one of the challenges is adherence, particularly in Africa. Out of those 1,500, less than 3% are from African entities. In your opinion, what can we do more in terms of the continent to promote adherence to the code by the market participants?
I would say that if you look at the statistics, you see that it is important to know that the African Central Bank is actually demonstrating stronger participation compared to the local institution, and which indicates that the regulators, the monetary authorities, understand the importance of the code. But the broader market adoption is still evolving. However, I believe that Africa is not resisting the global standard. Africa is just progressing at a different speed. But with stronger education, more regional collaboration, and support from the local FX committee, we'll see an improvement in the adherence level maybe over the coming years or months.
Perfect.
And also,
sorry.
I think that also when you look at in Mauritius, you see that Mauritius has already gone live with their public register. And then when you also go to South Africa, the South Africa Reserve Bank will be rolling out its public register very soon.
That's very important as the public register. I'll go back to that. I just want to go and talk a little bit on what Marcel alluded to. So we're talking about the Global FX Committee runs, promotes, maintains the code. And the Global FX Committee is composed of 17 full members and 3 associate members. And those are the local FX committees of the countries. Thomas, can I ask you a little bit on that? What, in your view, is the importance of the local FX committees under, of course, for the promotion of the code, under the umbrella of the Global FX Committee, in driving adoption to the code by the specific market participants in each of the country or regions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm based in Scandinavia, and we have the Nordic Countries Committee there, and I definitely think they play a very crucial role. First of all, they have a very good view of the market participants in the region. They know everyone, the central bank is included. They know what all the big clients are doing, more or less. So I think also in terms of adopting from the FX Global Committee to adopt it into local markets, that's a very good thing. And also it goes the other way, so if we have something, we go often to the Nordic Countries Committee, and then they can bring it onwards to the Global Committee.
So very much a very big incentive. In some of those countries, it's okay, and as Marcel and Mark alluded to, the code is voluntary in nature.
Yeah.
But in some of the countries that the code has been adopted, the local central bank said that it would only transact FX with entities that have signed the code. So kind of like making a commitment by the industry, not just by the regulator. So it's important that.
Very, very important. And I think it's come a long way. So years back, the commercial bank signed the code. So that's a good start. I think where we maybe are missing a little bit still and working on, that is on the buy side. On top of my mind, I think we have, like, in the region, a good handful of buy-side clients of the largest institutions that have signed it. But that's also why I'm really positive and happy about the initiative that from the central banks in the region and the committee, they're now sending out letters to the largest corporates and institutions in the region. So I think because it's a little bit of this chicken and egg effect. So I think if we can get more of the corporates into it, then it will be like a domino and more will sign. That's my hope.
And I think you touch on a very, very important. It's important for the audience, for those of you that don't know the code. The code is suitable for all market participants that are actively engaged in the FX market. It's not a code just for banks or central banks or brokers. It is for corporates, for hedge funds. And on that, the proportionality of the code is extremely important. Marcel, can I ask you to touch on that topic, which is vital for adherence to the code by all market participants?
Exactly, you already explained it to some degree. So the code includes those 55 principles. They span across all areas of FX trading, execution, risk management, information sharing, operations and settlement. But not every market participant is in the same position on what is in the code. So we can use all the different terms we know about price takers, price makers, buy side, sell side. You use algos or you don't use algos. So market participants come in all shapes and forms. And the first step you do basically when you enter the process of going to adherence of the code is to check which principles are relevant for you. There's also a tool done by the Global FX Committee, the self-assessment proportionality tool that helps you with that process. So you can determine in the end, yes, this principle is relevant for my business and this is not relevant for my business because I don't use algos, for instance. And the next step thereafter would be to check your processes against those principles that are relevant for you. And if there are no gaps, you can basically sign the statement of commitment and adhere to the code. If you find gaps, you obviously have to address them. And so that is very important to have one single code, and that proportionality then helps participants to find those elements that are really relevant for them.
Perfect, thank you. Emmanuel, over to you. Talking about the theme of our panel, aligning local regulations with the FX, what we call the Balancing Act. So we said many times here, it is voluntary adherence, but how can we, I wouldn't say enforce, but how can we reinforce the importance of the code as a complement to applicable law? Being applicable law, local law or regional law, how can the code help to transport some of the good market practices that are in the guidelines of the code into potentially a local law?
So I would say that voluntary does not mean optional. It actually means self-regulatory. And from what he said, the code is not meant to serve, the code is actually meant to serve a complementary baseline, but it's not a replacement for the local regulatory framework. So what I would say is that we need more of regulatory backing. We want to see more incentive by the central bank to help with the alignment. And I would say that if you want to build a liquid, trusted, local FX market, which is integrated into the global market, then it means that we have to adhere to the global standard. I would say that this will make us very attractive to our international counterparties, then they'll be able to bring the investment to the local market that we desire.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Mark, let me ask you something that we alluded to earlier. I think Emmanuel mentioned about the public register in Mauritius. The South African Reserve Bank is actually initiating a public register now. It should be live next month or in July. Even in other regions of the world, the UAE FMA recently launched a public register for entities not only in the UAE but in the Middle East. Mark, in your view, when we're talking about, again, statement of commitment, it's not mandatory, but it's a great PR piece in order to promote adherence to the code. In your view, what can we do more in order to promote this kind of initiatives, to bring entities that probably have adhered to the code, they share it with their clients, or they just put it on their website, but to bring them up into the global stage? How important do you think that initiative is, or promoting that kind of initiative, of putting more statements of committee into the public registers?
Well, I think the more people are involved, the better. I mean, and it's not uncommon, as talked about earlier, in some countries, you have to sign up for people to do business with you. In most industries, there's a guild or a hallmark or some certification of competence that's required. I wouldn't hire an electrician in the UK unless they had that kind of certification. Also in those industries, there's a kind of continuous development program. You have to keep doing these certificates. So I think the same thing applies to foreign exchange. People should do as much training as possible. The more people are involved with that, the more people review the current content of the code, including those who aren't currently signed up to it, it will lead to a better code. I mean, if you think about the examples, there's a lot of time went into those examples, and that those drew on decades of experience. But the market's constantly evolving. So unless people who are involved with the market today are reviewing those examples, reviewing the detail under the principles, and giving their opinion on whether it's fit for purpose, the code will become stale. So I would encourage anyone who's not currently looking at or thinking about the code to have a say and help the ACI and help the global committees improve it for everyone.
You touched on something which is very dear to our heart, training. And of all the case studies that we look, and even if we go to the Global FX Committee, they have a roadmap for adherence that one of the steps to embed and monitor implementation of the code is training. And I wanted to ask Thomas, in your opinion, what do you think? Do you think that training should be provided regularly, say, for instance, like every year, like we have in financial institutions and other entities, quite a lot of trainings that need to be done on an annual basis? Or do you think the training should be updated only when the code is updated, which is every 3 years? That's the guidance. What's your view on that?
I think it's very obvious. I think you need to do this on a continuous basis. If you do this every 3 years, as you also mentioned, the market evolves a lot. So I think regular training, that's super important to have this in your daily or day-to-day work at the employees. And that's not only for traders, it's also for salespeople, for research, all kind of people in the markets area. So I think definitely ongoing training, that's important. And we also started that many, 4 or 5 years ago, I think, on top of my mind. And I think that has actually helped a lot. Also, a very positive sign is now in different groups in the bank, you can sometimes hear if there's when we do ELEC testing, that employees actually look at it and then, because it can be interpreted in different ways, and then they have conversation around it, which makes it like, that's nice to hear, because it just brings up the knowledge for everyone.
Thank you very much, Thomas. So we're just coming to the close of our session, but I wanted to ask each of the panelists to say something, 30 seconds, on why do you think this topic is important, given by the FX code itself or by the aligning of the local regulation. What do you think this is an important project or important initiative to bring FX markets to the highest standards of ethical and professional conduct that we want? Marcel, you want to leave a final statement?
Yeah, so I think in a lot of discussions when I was involved personally in that project, and when we talked to market participants in Switzerland, was that the whole way the code was established in this partnership between central banks and market participants, and this complete revamp from the regional codes into this global code, this is really a unique setup in the sense it is not regulation, but it creates best standards that are jointly made. And if that whole project fails in the sense that there is not enough take-up, regulators at some point might think about going the regulatory way. So I think for the market itself, which is a very dynamic and fast-changing market, it's better to pursue that way and have a say in what is in the code. And a lot of expertise is not held by central bankers. I'm a former central banker, but by the market participants. And so we achieve really the best result in what we can put into the code by pursuing that way. But it means, and you mentioned it, 1,500 statement of commitments, it means that adherence to the code needs to improve, particularly on the buy side as well. I mean, you've mentioned certain regions, it's not that great, but also on the buy side. And I think that would be my answer to your question.
So prevent to avoid a potential remediation.
Yes.
Thomas, your take.
With my day-to-day job in the trading part, I think transparency overall, the level of transparency to raise that even further by, as I alluded to before, bringing more buy-side clients into the code, that would be a big thing. Also, another big topic, the pre-hedging part, I think, is really important. It's an area where we have seen less issues the last half year, which is positive, but we have seen issues in our local markets there, which we've been bringing up to the Committee of the Nordic countries. I think that's been taken very seriously, which is super positive. But I think there's still quite a lot of work to be done in that area, because even though the people who have signed the code, there are a lot of different opinions on how to do things. And again, to my point before, bringing more buy-side clients in or to sign the code, that will also help them to do better and more informed discussions with their counterparts.
And understand how they can trade with their partner banks better, right? And in a with more integrity.
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you, Thomas. Emmanuel.
All right, so I would say that I align with what they said. I totally agree. And what I'll add is that I want to see more central bank backing. I want to see the central bank adding some incentives to make sure it becomes a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Mark?
I would say to market participants, never assume that because something's clear in your head, that is understood by other people. Document that you do the training, that you understand what's in the code, and that's what you live and work by.
Thank you, Mark. Marcel, Thomas, Emmanuel, Mark, thank you very much, and thank you very much for your attention. Group picture? No picture?
All right, so you step forward for a group photograph. Please let's celebrate them. Wonderful panel. Yes, can we have the photographers take their picture?
Thank you.
Well, hold on. ACI
sorry.
Yes, ACI executive will join you.
Mommy and Stephen.
Second round.
Yeah.
We've got another one.
And Lawrence.
And Lawrence as well.
Oh, more to the side. Move a little bit to the left.
Oops.
Left, to the little bit to the left.
Push.
Yeah.
Come to the middle.
More to the left.
Or to the left.
To the left. Mark to the left.
I'm falling.
Gun.
Okay, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
Panel
you.
three.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rui. Final panel, great job. Thank you so much. Let's do it once again. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes.
for.
Okay.
Thank you.
So all too soon, we've run through all the keynotes, the welcome addresses, the panel discussions, the breakouts. Wow. And what a wonderful audience we've had. Please put your hands together for yourselves. You've been an amazing, 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 amazing audience. And this doesn't only go for those in the auditorium, but for those manning the trading desk at that research desk, but still tuning in on YouTube to make sure they followed this conference. Please put your hands together for our online community as well, who have followed this conference from the very beginning to this point. All over the world, follow this. In fact, there are others who will be watching the playback of this. Please, let's give them the applause in advance. Put your hands together for them. So all too soon, Ghana will be handing over the flag. The flag as the host for the ACI World Congress. In 2027, we are going to be in a wonderful auditorium like this. Unfortunately, we won't have the warmth of Accra, but will be the bustling city of London. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce to you the host of the ACI World Congress 2027, ACI UK. Put your hands together. Okay. We have with us Julie Nicholas and Noel Singh to give us their address as the next host of this amazing World Congress. Let's celebrate and put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. That's right. Good afternoon.
Sorry, I'll do again. So good afternoon. No?
Mike? Anybody? Hello? Hello? Okay. I think that calls for another applause just to encourage them so they do this. You know, they are hosting us next. We need to be nice to them, right? Super.
Thank you. This is working. Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Julie Nicholas, and I'm an executive committee member at the ACI UK. I'm genuinely delighted to have been invited along here with Noel in Accra on behalf of you, our president, for the 64th annual ACI World Congress. Your Congress theme summarizes exactly my experience on site. You have truly elevated markets and empowered people through your rich content-led program and the caliber of capital market participants here on site. Thank you so much again. We also felt very much at home, and we look forward to Accra to continue its ambitious plans, build partnerships, leadership, resilience, and innovation. Thank you, Lawrence, Kofi, and team. Thank you, Anita, as well. I don't know if she's still here, but my new personal stylist. Thank you, Anita. And just some background. Well, we are very excited, as you know, that to announce that the UK has been selected to host the 65th annual ACI World Congress. And I've been selected to be the head of project for this important event, which will take place in London, June 2027. My background, in a nutshell, I promise I'll be short, but I have decades of experience in uniting senior traders globally through conferences, summits, but also very different engagement formats globally, so all the way from Australia to Mexico. Previously, I've worked at the Financial Times, at The Economist. After that, I was director for Europe at TradeTech. I have co-founded the Finance Hive, and I was awarded LinkedIn's UK Finance Power Profile. But especially, I'm really honored that I will be the head of project for next year. thank you as well to the ACI UK committee for your trust. I'll hand it over to you, Noel.
Thank you very much, Julie. Good afternoon from me, esteemed councillors and delegates. My name is Noel Singh, and I too am a member of the ACI UK Executive Committee, along with Julie. Julie and I are delighted and humbled to be invited by ACI Ghana to attend this year's Global Congress on behalf of Hugh, our President of ACI UK. I echo Julie's thanks to Lawrence and the committee of ACI Ghana for your warm and generous invitation to be here in Accra. You've shown us such warmth and generous hospitality and proved exactly why you were chosen to host this year's ACI World Congress. I must also congratulate you on a truly exciting and global event, attracting a diverse community from countries scattered across the globe. I hope that we can get close to emulating your success next year. Julie has gathered a talented and eager team which is working hard on creating an equally iconic event for next year. London is a key centre for foreign exchange in the global financial markets, and we believe that its accessibility will draw an audience from all over the world. Many flights are direct and frequent, with no less than 5 airports serving London, with fast train links to the West End and the City of London. Julie has chosen the venue. Actually, I should let Julie announce the venue, but it is a sumptuous and historic building set in the heart of London's West End, close to many of our famous iconic landmarks like Buckingham Palace, Trafalgar Square, Houses of Parliament and St Paul's Cathedral, to give you an example. Also situated a stone's throw from the financial districts of the City of London and Canary Wharf, plus located in London's famous theatre and restaurant district. London is also an ancient and historic city, but dating back to before the Roman era, with a long history of trade and commerce. Delegates and their partners are invited to attend the event and enjoy the landmarks, history and culture which London has to offer. So turning to logistics for a second, the Global Congress will run for 2 days, culminating with a champagne reception and gala dinner on the final evening to enhance the networking opportunities. Breakout rooms will be available for sponsors to schedule one-on-one meetings away from the main Congress. Julie has already been busy forming buy-side round tables, forums to shape and define the content over the course of the 2 days. As with Ghana this year, we will hear from industry experts on a wide range of topics and different market themes throughout thought leadership being our cornerstone. So my first ACI World Congress was actually in 1994. Yes, I am that old. And that was actually in London. I was a junior trader 1 year into my career. And now it'll be, 33 years later? We are proud to be hosting ACI World Congress. So I'll hand you back to Julie for some more logistics.
Yeah, perfect. And I promise this is my final word. But yes, we have a venue, and it's going to take place at the Institute of Directors on Pall Mall, Trafalgar Square. And the dates are Wednesday 16th and Thursday the 17th of June 2007. So make sure you mark these dates in your diaries. We'll make sure to organize social activities on the Friday, but the 2 main days for the Congress will be on Wednesday and Thursday. I have a lot of exciting initiatives in mind. I'd love to be in touch with you and to share these with you. I've met wonderful people, truly wonderful people here on site, and I hope that we will closely collaborate to make this hopefully a huge success, as successful as here in Ghana. We've been working hard behind the scenes already, and soon you'll start to see official announcements. So Noel was mentioning the buy-side working groups. We are going to start shaping the content from the 2nd of July. Founding partners will be invited to these regular working groups as well. But most importantly, and last but not least, I'm most delighted to already share with you that we have early committed partners. So we have Sugden. They were the very first one to join. FX Spot Stream, Old 21 and LMAX, and I'm having a lot of great conversations as well with others. If you want to get involved, you can always find me on LinkedIn, but I had great conversations as well here. So this is us. Lovely to meet you all, and thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. ACI UK. Let's take a quick picture before you go. Yes. ACI Ghana executive, kindly join them. Yes. Give them a hand of fellowship. Yeah. And some encouragement.
ACI 2026 Financial Market Association.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much, ACI UK.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DJ. On the lighter note, though, before we meet in London next year, we'll be meeting them in the US at the World Cup. There's Ghana versus England. And you all know what's going to happen. Is that Ghana or England?
Yes, we do.
Ghana or England? Okay. Please put your hands together once again, ACI UK. Congratulations and all the very best. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this very event is coming to an end, but then we are not ending our series of events. Tonight, we have the big gala coming up at the Labadi Beach Hotel. It's happening tonight. By 6 p.m., we get the red carpets going, and we'll have that party happen. We have a live band that is, have you heard of Adaha Dance Band? If you know Adaha Dance Band, you know we are about to have a great party, and that is happening at the Labadi Beach Hotel. Do not miss it. For all our foreign delegates, we have the tour tomorrow, the tour of Accra, that is organized by the GTDC, the Ghana Tourism Development Company. Please do not miss it. Let's see all the beautiful landmarks in Accra. And on Saturday night, we're having the beach party at the Bolo Beach Club somewhere at Labadi. Don't miss that as well. It's an all-white party. Just come. There's been a lot of stress. Let your hair down. Let's party. Let's still do some business. And let's create some great memories from the beautiful city of Accra, Ghana. Put your hands together once again, ladies and gentlemen. Mwaka and Sebeso, the team from Zambia, I believe the next time this thing is in Africa. Zambia Kuchalo. Zambia Kuchalo. Super. Right. And I believe you guys will be on the team. Absolutely. Talking about the teams, though, there's a team of gentlemen and ladies who have worked so hard to make sure this World Congress has been the success that it has been. Mm-hmm. Beginning from the ACI Ghana Executive. Please, let's hear it for the ACI Ghana Executive. To our co-chairs. Please, let's hear it for the ACI Executive as they come for it. ACI Ghana Executive. To the co-chairs, Kofi Kodia Sapon, Gloria Agest, and Stephen Atikusi. Let's hear it for them. And ladies and gentlemen, the working committees, that gallant army of men and women, financial markets professionals who became MCs, who became sound men, who became programmers, who became organizers, who became vendors and made this thing happen. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to your feet as we receive the working committee that put this Congress together. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Let's celebrate them. Lift the roof up. Make some noise. Put your hands together as we welcome them. Wow.
Dance left, dance right.
Energy. Let's go. Everybody to the left, to the right. Let's go. To the left, to the right, to the right. Let's go. That's right. Let's go.
Everybody catch the vibe. Africa worldwide. Step one, step two. Accra city full of light.
Let's go to the left.
Welcome to the Ghana vibe. Everybody feel alright from New York to Dubai. And we dancing side by side. People coming from around, different voices, different sounds. One big family worldwide. Accra shining with pride. This no be regular conference. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathering everybody in the field. Let the energy explode. One rhythm, one people, one Africa, one vibe, one rhythm, one people, one Africa, one vibe. To the road right now, you try to feel alright. Dance left, dance right. People coming side by side. Africa, we full of life. Hands up to the sky. Everywhere, big ideas filling the air, markets moving everywhere. Now we dancing without care. South Africa did it first. Now it's gonna turn to bust. From the beaches to the streets, feel the rhythm, feel the heat. Everybody move your feet. Feeling on the energy. When the love start to play, nobody goes down one place. Left foot. Welcome to the Ghana vibe. Everybody feel alright. From New York down to Dubai. Now we dancing side by side. People coming from around, different voices, different sounds. One big family worldwide. Accra shining with pride. It's no be regular conference. About leaders in the dance. First time gonna hold the world. Let the energy explode. One rhythm, one people, one Africa, one vibe, one rhythm. Africa, we full of life. Hands up to the sky. Salama too.
Thank you.
Me Adami too. Rangier too. Memuna too. One side.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in true Ghanaian fashion, we are going to end this with a prayer, after which we'll sign out and we'll go. Mr. Stephen Bridgeham, please come over and give us the closing prayer for ACI World Congress 2026. Corded mic. Okay. Corded mic. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Hello. Good evening. Sound, please. Sound. 1 2.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had a wonderful Congress from day 1 to day 2. If you did, give me a round of applause and a shout. Woo! As we bring the Congress to a close, I want us to rise onto our feet as we say a word of prayer briefly before we leave this place. Shall we pray? In the mighty name of Jesus, Father, we are grateful unto you. We thank you so much for being the Alpha and starting with us. We are so grateful unto you also for being the Omega and ending with us successfully. In the mighty name of Jesus, your name alone be praised and adored. We still commit ourselves into your hands once again, O God. Even though day 2 has ended, we know that, Father, O Lord, there are other events ahead of us. We pray that, Father, O Lord, may you continue with us, O God. Grant us the strength, wisdom, and understanding for all of the other events. Father, O Lord, at the end of it all, your name alone will be praised. We are grateful. We give you praise. We appreciate all that you've done to us till now. We thank you again. In the mighty name of Jesus have we prayed. Amen.
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 Put your
hands together.
Amen.
Again.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been such a joy being the masters of ceremony for this occasion. I did this with this Zambian princess. Please tell them about yourself.
Thank you very much. Oh, flags? Oh, okay, let's do this.
Speak to them. Speak to them.
I want that flag.
Oh, you want that flag? Okay.
I'm giving you mine.
Okay, sure. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor. See you this evening, and thank you very much for being such an amazing audience. From Prince and I, signing out.
My name is Zakadu. You can call me the Regal MC, and it's always a joy to be your MC. See you at the club tonight. Let's go.
No be giddy giddy jigga for mellow. Do one fast, do one slow, do one slow. You for I say you only live once. Yellow. For the boys, for the girls. To the niggas for the good taste, oh well. For the man them, for the young girls. For the ones in love, but they can't tell. Yeah, so put your hands in the air, like you really don't care. Yeah. To the left, to the right. Oh, you go there, be care. Do the dance, do the dance. Everybody make us see you do the dance. Do the dance, do the dance. Everybody make us see you do the dance. Do the dance, do the dance. Everybody make us see you do the dance. Do the dance, do the dance. Everybody make us see you do the dance. Oh, skara, skere, skere, ba.